All right, everybody. Let's see. Hey, we got some folks here already. Let's see if I sound all right. Jeremy, sup T, drawing and listening. Thanks, man. Excited. Carlos, Greg Parker. Oh, taking a trip, Greg. Okay, hope you have a safe trip. All right, sounds like I sound okay. We're going to go ahead and get rolling here in a second. So today we're going to talk about some Fantastic Four. New issue of Fantastic Four Fanfare here. I don't know if everybody saw the new Fantastic Four movie, but I have not seen it yet. I've heard it's got a lot of good Kirby vibes, so that makes me want to check it out. So yeah, tonight we're going to look at the new issue of Fantastic Four Fanfare number 4, which is features a story by myself and Danny Warren Johnson and Inaki Azpiazu. I'm probably saying your name wrong, Inaki. I apologize. But yeah, we all three did a story here in Fantastic Four Fanfare. And then I'm also going to show some of the original art from the story. Don't worry, I won't spoil it. I won't show the whole story, and none of these are lettered. But you can see some of the art from it. And then we'll see how I'm feeling after that. If so, I might do a quick little Ben Grimm sketch here. While you're here, though, if you haven't liked the video and subscribed to the channel and hit the bell and all that, that would be really awesome if you did. I've been trying to do at least 1 or 2 Tuesdays every month, and maybe I can do some more depending on my schedule this next fall here. But yeah, we talk about comics here. We look through old comics, and we also draw here on the channel, so I hope you guys will join us. I forgot I also was going to show, I don't have a lot of Fantastic Four comics, but one of my favorite ones that I do have is Fantastic Four Big in Japan by Zeb Wells and Seth Fisher. So maybe what we'll do is maybe we'll flip through one of these first, and then we'll take a look at the Fantastic Four Fanfare and the original art. And again, I won't show everything because the book comes out tomorrow. I just happened to get an advance copy from my good friend Justin at In This Issue Comics in Bettendorf, Iowa. If you live in the Quad Cities, you got to go to his shop there, In This Issue Comics. They're really great. But he sent me a copy ahead of time. Marvel did not send me a comp yet. So luckily I got one from him. But yeah, let's take a look at this Big in Japan. Let's see what folks got going on over here. Heading to a bad place. Home of the Packers. Oh, a bummer, Greg. Kova's Lookout. Yo, grab the Fantastic Four tomorrow. Yes, please do. So I've probably mentioned, and I have the camera a little more zoomed out than I do just because these pages are bigger. Let me see if I can just get a little bit closer here for everybody. How's that? Is that a little bit better? All right. Sorry. Getting myself set up here. Sorry. All right. So I'm not got my normal setup here. Here we go. All right. Fantastic Four Big in Japan. So this is Fantastic Four and Iron Man. I have this comic, of course. I've mentioned on the channel before that I'm a big Seth Fisher fan. He was an artist in the 90s, 2000s that was gone from us way too soon. But an incredible artist, kind of got a Jeff Darrow, Mobius vibe with a little bit of a cartoony feel to it. His stuff is kind of known for being hyper detailed. I believe this is one of the last books he did. He did this, and he did a book called Snow. It was a Batman book. But his style is really great. There's a lot of, again, there's no shading. It's kind of a clean line style. A lot of cool cartooning and hyper detailed. Lots of faces and different things. I was curious. I didn't look before I drew my story how he draws the thing. He does kind of, some people do less chunky things, and some people do more. He's on the more side. Seth did another book called Tokyo, which is really awesome. It's a 4-issue miniseries that he did, and it's sort of about this guy's adventure in Japan and how this pop singer gets involved with him, and it's really wild. This kind of has a similar feeling. I think Seth might have lived in Japan for a while. I didn't read Fantastic Four a lot when I was in my formative comic book years of junior high and high school, but my dad was a huge Fantastic Four fan. And so when he first got me into comics, this was one of the teams that he showed me was Fantastic Four. Geez, look at all the ads in this. Seth always has great page layouts and cool panel arrangements. Every other page is an ad. This is preposterous. Seth gets to draw a lot of cool creatures in here. There's sort of a stillness to his work that is pretty fun, where everything feels like it's sort of frozen in time in every panel. So motion with him is usually more a matter of showing multiple things within a panel. He did a flash book where he does some of that. But this one's pretty fun. They end up I like the way he does the Human Torch with the lines, sort of classic style. But this is a pretty fun little thing. They end up fighting kaiju and stuff. And of course, he does a great Iron Man. The Fantastic Four, though, they are that first family or whatever they say of superhero things. One thing I've always loved about the Fantastic Four is that they are sort of this family with a family dynamic, for better or worse, right? There's some abusive people in the family, probably. Let's do one more of these. But if you haven't checked this series out, I'm not sure if there's a collected version. It's a 4-issue series. For some reason, I only have 3 issues here. I can't imagine this is super hard to come by, but it might be. Anything by Seth is worth picking up. And the nice thing about Seth's work, I guess the only nice thing, is that there's a finite amount of it, right? Like, he's not making work anymore. So if you wanted to become a Seth Fisher completist, that's probably something you could do. And almost every book he's done, he's bringing his really fantastic style to it. And so, he's done Green Lantern, he's done Batman, he's done Fantastic Four, he did the Tokyo book, he did, I think, a couple issues of Doom Patrol in the 2000s. His Green Lantern Will World is one of my favorites. I've showed on here before. I have a page from that book, a piece of original art, and it's very special to me. But the other thing I love about Seth is that he will he's already got a cartoony style, but there's times when he'll exaggerate it even more and almost do like a little chibi type figures, or this is sort of like a storybook illustration style here. So he's never afraid to kind of mix up his style and just sort of let it go with the flow of the story. His original art's incredible. He draws with just liner pens like microns and stuff and pilot pens, but it's so clean. And you just wonder how he's getting all that underdrawn in there. Look at that. Lots of cool hand lettering on his things. Yeah, this series is really fun. I'm trying to remember the exact story. I need to probably reread it now that I pulled it out. Oh man, look at these hats. Jiminy Christmas. This is brutal. But that's comics, So anyway, Fantastic Four and Iron Man, big in Japan. I don't know if anybody's read that before. The amount of ads in that comic is crazy. You're right. Well, look at that. Pepsi's here again. Awesome. Cool. So, it was maybe, 4 or 5 months ago? I'm trying to remember the exact time. My friend Dan calls me up or texts me or something. And he's like, dude, do you want to draw a Fantastic Four story? And I said, yeah, man. He's like, if Marvel will let you, that would be a lot of fun to do together. And it was pretty cool because everybody who's been on my channel knows I've known Dan a while, but we've never collaborated on anything. We've done some pencil and ink exchanges, a few things like that, but we've never actually collaborated on anything. So I was excited to try to work with him on something because, I love Dan's work and, he's a buddy, and I mean, how cool would that be, right? Luckily, they said yes, and then we were off to the races. He came over and sat right over there, and we talked about story ideas, and he kind of had a concept already for this wrestling match. And it was sort of a matter of, Dan asking me, well, what kind of stuff do you want to draw? And is there any characters you want to draw? Who should be our bad guy? Who should be our good guy? And, he had this great idea for it being Namor, being the main heavy in this. But then I was kind of like, dude, I want to draw like a bunch of villains if we can. And if we're going to do like a wrestling kind of motif or like a fighting game motif of like all these guys got to battle each other, why don't we, let me draw a bunch of different guys. And we got approved to do the story, and Dan wrote an awesome script and just let me kind of do it however I wanted. He doesn't call out any specific panel sizes or layouts or anything. He's really open to he was really open to letting me sort of come up with my own stuff. We workshopped a few things that were pretty tricky and ended up asking for another page because there's a page in here that I'm going to show you that was really tricky to do. Well, no, I won't show you that one. I'll show you a different one that was tricky to do. But there was a few things we did workshop. And then, of course, once I got the thumbnails done, Dan was kind enough to give me some cool feedback, and I made some adjustments. And I think what we ended up with was really great. And then we ended up using Inaki Azpiazu. I'm sorry, Inaki, if I'm saying it wrong. But Inaki's awesome. I had seen he had been coloring some stuff for Riley and Dan and really enjoyed his work and had been following his stuff for a while. And so I was stoked that we got Inaki on board. So let's go ahead and look through a little bit of the finished art in here. And then I'll show you maybe the first 4 pages here is what we'll do. And I think it's a 10 or 11 page story, so no spoilers or anything really. So I'll see it in color here first, and then we'll take a look at some of this original art. Greg says, teamwork makes the dream work. That's absolutely right. If you can collaborate like face-to-face with anybody on anything, but especially a comic, that's amazing. A lot of times you don't get to do that, especially I'm sure if you're working on bigger things like Marvel. I'm not sure that they're always getting you on the phone with the writer and stuff. Luckily in this case I knew the writer, and so we could talk, and Dan was, of course, open to that. But honestly, though, guys, like the biggest thing for me about this, other than being able to work with my friend, which is always great, and not just my friend, but somebody that I respect their work, like Dan, a dream, right? But the real dream was like, this is my first Marvel thing I've ever done, and I've been trying to make comics for a long time. First I was in college, and then after college I had to get a job and many jobs, and I was still making comics on the side, and it seemed like it was never going to happen for me. I just was making comics and, spending all my extra income on printing them and going to shows for years. I mean, almost 15 years I was working, at the school at SAIC and making comics. And it just seemed like there would never be a day where I would have my name on a Marvel comic, right? And that's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to make awesome comics and make art, right? But growing up a Marvel kid and really being somebody who enjoys superhero comics like I do, and this is a pretty cool thing for me today. It's a cool day when I get to see these books. And tomorrow I'm going to go check it out, hopefully at the shop, and just kind of see it on the shelf. And when you're on the other side of it, it's hard to imagine, and at least it was for me. And I guess all I'm saying is there was a long, long way to get here, right? And I can't tell you how many nights and days, days at my day job, nights trying to draw, nights not trying to draw, just being, feeling hopeless about it and feeling like this is never going to happen. And so to have an opportunity to work in a Marvel book, kind of fulfills a childhood dream. And so thanks to Dan and thanks to Marvel for giving me a shot. We'll see if maybe we do some more. Who knows? You never know. That'd be a lot of fun. So I haven't read all the other ones in here. I just got this yesterday, I guess, and unboxed a little bit. So I can't tell you the quality of these, but I am checking out some of this art. It looks like we have Kafu and then Dean White on colors on this first one. It's a J. Michael Straczynski story. Second one, we got Mark Bagley. I mean, everybody knows Mark Bagley. That's the other crazy thing to me. Some of the first comics I ever bought were Mark Bagley Spider-Mans and stuff. And like, what was the other one? New Warriors and Venom. And so to be in a book with with Mark is like, that's crazy, man. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So we got a Mark Bagley story. Then, of course, we got me and Dan and Iñaki. That's probably how you say it. Anyway, this is pretty cool. It's got kind of a painterly look to it. I'm not familiar with Kafu. Kind of a photorealistic style. Sort of a classic, looks like classic illustration. And then this must be Bagley. Who's inking him on this? John Dell. Well, Bagley is real good. He definitely is good with the right inkers. This is kind of an interesting little story. His page layouts are always very efficient. I always appreciate that. Hey, look at that. Null is back. Stegman's probably having a great day with Null being back. Every time you say Null's name, Stegman gets a quarter. What do you got over here? Major congrats about sneaking time and hoping leads to more opportunities. Thanks, Greg. Keepsake for the kids. Well deserved, Jeremy says. Well, thanks, guys. That's very kind of you. So here we are. And again, there's a lot of ads in here. Page 1. You'll see this bigger on the original art, but we have Reed getting, getting slammed here. Dan had me do some cool. He let me do a lot of cool hand effects, but we did get some lettering done afterwards too. I really like how Inaki used this peachy color here with the pink. I know this might seem a little weird, but I told him I want it to feel sort of like it's sunset, and then as the tournament goes on, it gets darker and darker. And we have Namor. So Dan wanted Namor to look kind of, I think we both did, kind of like have a Ric Flair vibe to him, because I love Ric Flair, but he's a bad guy, And so we gave him this Ric Flair robe and tried to make it kind of sparkly and kind of sequined and with the big feathers and everything all around it. But this was one of the first pages that was kind of tricky to figure out, but a lot of fun, and that was who's in this tournament and how do we show all these characters. And so I'll show you the original art on this one in a minute, but it's got all these different characters on it. And we didn't have any limits on who we could use. We just figured let's just put everybody we want in here and then see what happens. And so I tried to use a lot of the classic Fantastic Four villains. And so when people pick it up, they can kind of go through it and see if they can recognize who the different people are. But this first guy slamming Reed here is Constrictor. I always liked Constrictor. He just had a cool look to him. So Reed's out. And then right away we get the setup of the story, which is Galactus has kind of put on this big tournament with Namor, so Namor can prove how much better he is than everyone else and how Sue should be with him. So it's kind of a what do you call it? He's trying to impress her, So Johnny thinks he's going to make short work here of Blastar, but of course that doesn't work out. And so then it's up to Ben Grimm to step in and take care of business. And so he starts taking care of business right away. Iñaki did an amazing job, especially on this page and this page. I love what he did here on Ben Grimm. I love the highlight here of the flashing, the lights and stuff. I love the way he colored the stones on him is really nice. He did a great job selling the bruises on the guys' faces. The color holds on the backgrounds here are great. He really did a great job. It was really fun to work with him. Super easy to work with. Super fast turning things around and just really a joy. So I'm not going to spoil too much more. I'll just do a little quick. Whoa, look at that page. What's that? Oh my gosh. So there's a page in there that I'm very proud of, but I'm not going to show it because it's a little spoiler. I'll let you guys see it for yourself on paper. But yeah, this was so fun, man. So fun. And, I wanted it to feel like me, but obviously it's a very Dan story, a wrestling story, a forlorn lover or whatever. I mean, it's all very Dan, right? But I tried to work in a lot of the things that I feel like, are my signature things as well, but also take that lead from Dan with his style, right? His style is so big and like bombastic, and so that kind of gave me free rein to think, well, you know what, I'm going to be big and bombastic with the expressions, and I'm going to do these big sound effects, and I'm going to just, when Thing shows up, he's going to take up like the whole panel, he's going to be huge. So it was really fun, really fun. Highly recommend working with Dan on something if you can. And And so fun to draw the Fantastic Four, and especially the Thing. The Thing is my favorite of the Fantastic Four, and so making it a Thing story was really fun. And I love to draw big chunky hands and stuff. So pick it up tomorrow. This is it. The cover's by Rachel Stott, and it's it's all right. Here, let me put this. Not only did Justin hook me up with some advanced copies, Justin bagged and boarded everything that he sent me. So again, Justin at In This Issue Comics, thank you, buddy. You are the best. BMC Comics says, hey, Tyrell, so excited for your Fantastic Four story. Thank you. So am I. Thanks for all the support you guys have been showing me on the channel. I really appreciate it. But let's go through these in order. Let's show you some of these pages here. So I did these all normal 11 by 17 size. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. I tried to design it's like a stadium that would be kind of recognizable but a little bit fantastical and not like insanely difficult to draw. Sometimes doing things in perspective like this can get really tricky. I've found that if I just add in some elements that are more of a curved lines or some organic elements like the crowd, it helps you sell it without having to do everything just like perfect. I'm also really happy with how the feathering on Namor's boa came out. I love Namor. Namor is one that my dad also got me hooked on at a young age. He was like, Namor's cool because he's kind of a bad guy, but he's kind of a good guy, and he's like super powerful, kind of arrogant. Kova says those pages are dope. Thanks, man. And here's another silly thing. I really like this hand. It reads left hand here. I think I really sold that hand. Those are the things I notice when I'm on my pages. I like Namor's hand here too. This was mostly brush pen. These pages will be for sale. I'm going to announce the drop to my newsletter subscribers first, as always. So if you haven't gone to tyrellcannon.com and subscribed to the newsletter, you're going to want to do that today because I'm probably going to send the next newsletter out in the next couple days, and that'll include information about these pages. So here's the bracket, or like maybe not the bracket, but the list of fighters. And so we went with kind of a Street Fighter sort of look here, like a fighting game thing where each one has his own little box, and it's like a 3/4 of their face or something. And I kind of started by just, none of these people were called out. Dan just said like there's a bunch of guys in this tournament, and so I just picked all the ones that I thought were the coolest looking based on the history of Fantastic Four villains. So I had some list of like the 100 Fantastic Four villains, and I tried to pick some recognizable ones, but I also tried to pick a bunch of just old ones that nobody's going to know who they are. So maybe when people get this, they can try to go through the whole thing and see who's who. But you're going to recognize some people right away. I called out Blastar and Constrictor earlier. But yeah, there's a bunch of other ones. I spent so much time trying to figure out how to draw Reed, and he's only in the comic for like 3 panels. So I was like... But honestly, though, what's cool is that major characters on every page here, which is really fun. Getting his expression just right took a long time, but I'm happy with how that turned out. And then, of course, I got to draw Galactus, which, man, that's so cool. Kova asked if I've seen the Fantastic Four movie. I have not yet, but I do need to see that. Greg Parker says the black and white looks killer. Thanks, man. SF Mo, hey Mo, these look awesome. Thank you, Mo. I try to have like anytime I do a story, I want to have at least one page that's like that I know is awesome and rocks, and is like a hero page. And then same thing on every page. I want to have a panel that, at least for me, I feel like that panel really, really works. And when I started this page, that panel was this one, was going to be Galactus' face. I was really happy with it. And when you see what he's saying here, I think it's going to fit really well. But then I drew this one of Johnny's face getting grabbed, and it's easily my favorite panel on the page. It just kind of came right out, single brush strokes on everything. That one was really fun. Again, drawing all these crowds was tricky, and I really leaned on Inaki to kind of, sorry I put it away already, but to kind of help me sell some of that. So we use things like the saturation levels between the foreground and background to do that, or complementary colors a lot of the time. We can see the guys here, and then we have the heroic arrival of Mr. Ben Grimm. And Dan said, I think in the script it said something like Ben steps into the ring, and Johnny and Reed are just like mouths agape, you know, like, oh, like here he comes, oh my God. And so I went ahead and turned that into like an exclamation point, and then the bottom panel here I have the wrestling bell ringing. So that was another thing that Dan worked into the script, which is really cool, is there's this kind of beat of the bell ringing that we use throughout. So the bell rings at the beginning of the match, the end of the match, and so there's these dings throughout on key moments. And so I tried to draw it in a similar fashion every time, so it was this recognizable beat. And Dan's stuff has a really great rhythm to it. It's something that I'm not very good at, and so to work with somebody who's really good at finding those rhythms of story and timing was really fun. Here's a little fun repair here I did. So this page, I drew Namor's face here, and it just wasn't the right expression. And I don't know if I have the original around here somewhere, but it wasn't the right expression, right, for what the line was there. And I was kind of like, well, so I tried to white it out, and I tried to redraw it a few times, and then finally I just cut it out. And then this leg here is just cut out as well that overlaps the panel. And then I pasted in this one behind it. So this is a little Frankenstein page here. On this page, this is obviously kind of the hero panel, but I'm really happy with how this rear view of Ben turned out as well. And I drew this ref throughout, and the ref is really fun too, because when you draw really tiny characters, they can kind of be very expressive and very simplified, which is really fun. So yeah, there's the first 4 pages of Clobberin' Time by Daniel Warren Johnson, myself, and Iñaki Iñaki, we need to get on the phone sometime, dude. Azpiazu. Really fun stuff. And then I don't remember who did the letters because they did that after us, and I didn't see them until they were in print. So, all right. So again, this comes out tomorrow. So if you guys go to your local shop and you ask for Fantastic Four Fanfare number 4, it looks like this. I think there's only one cover, so look for that cover. And if you have it, great. If you go by Challengers tomorrow, I might be there. I might sign some. We'll see. I'm going to try to get over there. But this was a blast. Dream come true. Hopefully I can do another Marvel book someday. In the meantime, that went pretty quick. I'm going to go ahead and let's see if we can do a little quick Ben Grimm. It might not be a super long night tonight, but I do want to draw a tiny bit. I've been drawing all day. I'm working on a secret project I can't tell anybody about, unfortunately. Pepsi's going to get a copy. Brandon Mullins, stoked to check it out. Great collab. Thank you, Brandon. But yeah, let's do a quick thing here. Just kind of, let me see if I can, make this a little bit bigger here so we can. I should probably have all this stuff pre-saved, right? But I don't. All right. Now, I've been working on another project, which I can't announce yet. But I will tell you it's a single issue, and it's with a collaborator I've worked with before. And it's got some major Warhammer vibes. So I've been playing a lot of Warhammer Space Marine lately to kind of get stoked and listen to a lot of Bolt Thrower. But this next one's going to be really fun. I think you guys are going to dig it. And as soon as I can announce it, I will. But right now, I just want to do a quick little Ben Grimm here. It's like I was finally sort of figuring out how to draw him, but then I was done drawing the story. I hate it when that happens. Sometimes you just start to figure out a character and then you're done, One of the trickiest things with Thing was figuring out how do I want to do his kind of rocky surface. There's a lot of different variations on it. I tried to stick as close to the classic as I could, but then just sort of let it take on some of my idiosyncrasies. Is that how you say it? Idiosyncrasies of my art. Little things that I like to do. let's just do a quick Ben here. It's really tricky because I was finding that if I didn't get Ben's kind of head and eyes just right, he would look too much like a monster, you know, instead of looking like there's something about Ben that there's a kindness to him, you know, and so I think that he has to have a little bit of that, even when he's angry. There's got to be something in there that feels like, okay, this isn't a bad guy, right? This is maybe a tough guy, right? But he's also like a nice guy. He seems like a caring guy. So it was figuring out how to do the rocks, figuring out how to get his face kind of right, which I don't know if I did, but I tried. And then his nose is kind of tricky, and he doesn't really have a neck, and so that's kind of tricky. And so there's all these little tiny things with the design that you gotta sort of figure out. And that's true of any character, but Ben is very unique, right? Like, there's nothing else like drawing Ben Grimm, right? Like, you don't draw, because, like, you know, you could say, oh, I'm gonna draw, I don't know, you know, pick some other character, like, say Black Panther, right? And you could draw Black Panther in the same pose you could draw a lot of other characters in, because it's sort of like, you know, it's human musculature. But there's nobody else that really has the things, you know, style of rock covering, right? And so it kind of lends itself to exploration, but then at the same time, like, I think sometimes some people don't do it in a way, like, and I'm not going to slam on this cover or anything, but the rocks here feel kind of like a muscular surface that's just got some cracks on it, right? And there's something about the way Kirby would draw them where it almost felt like all these little pieces had come together, I don't know, almost like via nature to form this thing, rather than it being just a coating that goes on his skin. I don't know if that makes any sense, but those are some of the things I was thinking about when I was drawing him. And honestly, getting the craggies to look exactly right, or at least the way I wanted them, I found tricky almost on every page. It's like one of those battles that never got easier as the book went on. Other than figuring out, okay, here's, you know, like, for example, the forehead, you kind of want to keep the same size on those, and then his upper lip, you kind of keep them all in the same direction for the most part. And then you can sort of, you know, change up, you know, from panel to panel, you don't have to have the exact same, you know, the exact same things. But honestly, I've only drawn this one time. There's other people that probably have a lot better sort of take on how to draw them. But those are some things that I found in my brief moment of drawing him. But no, I haven't seen Fantastic Four yet. I have been to the movies a lot, but I don't get to go to the movies a lot. So when I do go, I tend to see things that I just really want to see. And so Weapons was the last thing that I was like, I gotta see Weapons. And then I went to a screening of The Dark Crystal on 70mm, which was really awesome. That's a movie I've always loved, and seeing it on 70mm was a real treat. And then my daughter, like many of you with kids, I'm sure, is obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. So we went to one of the screenings they did here at a movie theater of K-pop Demon Hunters. Kova's Lookout says, my son liked The Thing when I took him to see the movie, but didn't understand why his name was The Thing. That's pretty good. The Thing does seem like a kid favorite, right? It seems like kids would like The Thing. He's kind of, you know, he's kind of rough but kind. I think kids like characters like that. You know, tough characters that are sort of kind as well. It probably has something to do with just like having, you know, having a tough character be sort of friendly to them is probably good, instead of being, because he probably, a large character is probably by default a little scary for a kid. Clobbering time. Haven't done any text for a minute, so, or like, you know, on my little nighttime drawings here. Clobbering time. Let's make this a big fat clobbering. Nah, just keep it the same. I have seen the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, though. If you guys haven't checked that out, I recommend it. It's a good time. I'll keep it short. Okay. Okay, now let's think about how I want to light this a little bit here. I'm kind of debating doing him singlet here. But I don't know, I could just do him. Now I'm going to do him with the singlet. Well, I don't know. Should I do the singlet or no singlet? Just topless Ben. I was trying to do some kind of cool lighting today, but I haven't been having 100% luck on all that. Maybe we'll do something a little more. I'll just play around here for a second. I'll figure it out. Is that a little too scary? I don't know. What if we did bottom instead? What would that look like? That might be a little better. You guys have a favorite Fantastic Four character? Mine's probably the Thing, I would imagine. I do like Human Torch though, like it just visually. I've never really connected with the hothead characters though, honestly. So Johnny's character never really was, you know, it's kind of like, I mean, everyone when you're a kid, you like Michelangelo, but as I got older, I was like, I don't really relate to this guy. All right, that's looking all right. That's looking all right. My daughter just started kindergarten, so that's been kind of a fun new adventure around here. But her kindergarten teaches, all the kids also learn sign language, because it is also a school for the deaf And I thought that was pretty awesome that they all get a chance to learn and interact. And so today she was already coming home and teaching us some sign language. And I thought that was pretty cool. Quick and dirty here. I'm just going to kind of do a fun one. I've been obsessing over details all day, so kind of ready to shut that off for a second. Just kind of draw a little more free here. Time. Didn't plan it out as good as I probably could have. So yeah, how did I draw these squares again? They're almost hexagons, but they can't connect perfectly or it doesn't look right. So you sort of have to zig at the end of your hexagon sometimes to kind of make it feel. And what you don't want is kind of what I just did there, where it sort of feels like it lines up too perfectly. There's got to be some randomness to it, it seems like. At least that's what I'm finding. And then you want to put a little bit of weight on one side. So it's got some, you know, it hints at some depth. Did I bonk this thing? Ben, then read for me, says Brent. Mo says the thing. Oh, Jeremy, your wife's partially deaf. That's cool. So you're learning it too, or you already learned it. I don't know. Maybe you already learned it. Either way, that's cool. Well, hey, next time I see you, man, I can say I know some colors, and I know like thank you and restroom. So I'm learning, but I've only had one lesson so far. My retention's probably not as good as an old man as it was when I was younger. But I'm going to try. I just think sign language is so cool, you know? What an awesome kind of thing to have in the world. He's kind of finding him in there. Okay. And then the fingers, they don't really have the same rocky shapes. It's more like straight kind of lines, sort of like, to me it looks more like a shale, or I don't know, something like that, granite maybe. Let me get this to the erasing phase quickly, as you know. That's the way I am. Let's get the brush. Let's get the brush. Yeah, definitely been putting in the hours lately, and my neck has been feeling it. So I'm trying to get back on my stretches, and as long as I do those, I tend to get a lot more work done before I'm in too much pain. And of course, exercising and getting out of the house and yada yada, which, you know, it was a bit hot for that, but we had a nice day today. So I did like a little FF on there, a little 4 here, sorry, on the costumes when I drew them. But of course right now I just covered up where that would be, so I'm not going to put it on this one. But I wanted them to have like a, still look like a collegiate sort of, like wrestling singlet, or, you know, an old school wrestling singlet, but then have, you know, have a Fantastic Four element to it. So I just made that up. If anybody else uses it, they owe me one. Although I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of wrestling stories with Ben Grimm in the future, even though surely people will love this. They're probably going to make him fight monsters in outer space or something, because that's what the Fantastic Four do. Okay, we'll fill that in. And now it's time to play Tyrell's Going to Erase Way Too Soon. Okay, something got lost there. Let's fix those eyebrows, huh? I think we just had a show here in Chicago, Fan Expo, but I could not make it. Not sure if anybody else was able to make it to that show. I hope it was good. I must be a little brain dead here. I'm having a hard time keeping train of thought. Been a long day. Been a long week. Even though it's only Tuesday. Now, last week felt long. It was great to have the kid back in school, but it was like getting used to the new schedule and everything kind of threw me for a loop for a minute. I hate getting up early. I'll tell you that. And the last couple of days, I keep getting up early, even though I didn't have to take my kid. So I just keep waking up early anyway. So it's weird, like doing these little drawings is really fun. I really enjoy it, and it's almost like its own little thing. I've been working on sequential pages all day, and this just feels like a totally different muscle. I mean, it's going okay, but it's weird. Whereas when I'm at a convention, I get in a groove on these 6x9s, and it's just like I live in that world, and it feels so natural to draw. But right now, it's like I'm feeling that difference. Because with a page, I'm always more, you're thinking about the whole thing and the storytelling elements. I mean, not that I'm not thinking about a storytelling element to some degree here, but it's different when you have 5 panels instead of one drawing. The one drawing has to do a different kind of work when you do that. Clobbering time. There we go. This still feels crooked to me. There we go. Oof, back to school schedule had me walking around like a zombie. Mo gets it. It's like I'm happy she's back in school for a lot of reasons, and it does make things easier. But that first couple weeks, because also she's all the kids trying to adjust to, and so every day you're kind of a little bit just trying to make sure you get a gauge of where everybody's at with everything. We had a crazy busy summer too, all fun stuff, but just crazy. My wife is a very much let's do things all the time kind of a person. And I'm more like can I sit at home all day, every day instead? We find a happy balance, but she gets me out of my comfort zone, that's for sure. I'm kind of liking this clobbering up here. This is looking good. I like a good bubble letter. Clobbering time. I've seen all the other Fantastic Four movies, although that last one, that was the kind of darker one or whatever, I did not finish. I fell asleep, and that's pretty rare for me, but I did not finish that one. And I usually finish movies, but I never went back and finished that one. I kind of liked the look of it, but it was not holding my attention. The Corman one I love. I just think it's so much fun and so silly and so good-hearted. That one is one that I don't mind watching over and over because it's kind of just a good time. And then the other ones, the Silver Surfer one, I think Silver Surfer looks cool. I like, what's his name who does the voice? Lawrence Fishburne's voice is great. And I love some Jessica Alba. But I can't say they're great movies, but they definitely have their vibe. It's nice when there can be superhero movies that feel less stakes, so serious and so many stakes, like the way the Marvel Avengers and stuff feel where everything's the end of the world and everybody's so serious. And I think there's room for some funnier, not even funny, not like Deadpool funny, but just a good-hearted adventure story. Okay, I'm finding them now. like his little nose. That, but I'll fix that maybe. I'm also going to put I have some copies of Fantastic Four Fanfare number 4. I hope you guys will go to the shop and buy it, but if for some reason you want to get it from me as well, I will put those up soon, and those will come signed, of course. And maybe I'll do something like do a giveaway of this drawing or something along with that. I don't know. But hopefully you can pick it up at your shop as well, or first. Yeah, there we go. Ben Grimm, The Thing. That's pretty close. We're gonna do a couple more things. I'm gonna go ahead and sign it, even though it's not done. A couple more things here. I think I want some. We need some more texture here. Thinking maybe we do some. Ben and Reed for me says Brent. Oh wait, no, I already said that. Back to school zombie. Gotcha. Okay. All right, let's throw some white out on this. I see something I missed erasing too here. I just want to give the edges a little more heat here. I think I kind of overdid it with the stones. If you fill everything all the time, then you lose your shapes and you just got a big mess. And I'm very guilty of that. Oftentimes I just overfill it, over render. I just like all the neat stuff, you know? I like all those shapes. But yeah, we want to bring back some of this nice edge here. Story of my life. I ink something and then I go back over and white out half of it. It's like, I feel like there's times I gotta draw those things to figure out what I want to keep, you know. And hey, welcome to Albany Park. Running theme on my streams. How do I botch that? All right. It's looking okay. Looking great. Thank you for streaming. Thanks, Carson. Thanks for coming by and watching. We're a chill hangout here. We're only good vibes here. I'm not trying to cause any problems. We just love comics. We love to draw. That's it. Not complicated. We're a little Bob Ross over here. We're a little something. A little Bob Ross, a little Take Tak, a little Monben. We got a little bit of everything. Just do a little bit of something like this. Gotta give it another element here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, babe. That might do it right there. I don't know. Should I put some zip tones on this? I don't know. Maybe. There's a part of me that wants to. The same part of me that needs to make an order tomorrow or the next day for more screen tones. So other than my stream, I just wanted to throw out a couple other streams you guys should check out there. Right around the same time I stream every night, every Tuesday, my friend Minerva streams. And I feel bad that we're always streaming at the same time. But Minerva Fox does some awesome drawing streams, usually on Tuesdays as well. And of course, you could go harass Dan. Daniel Warren Johnson has Fridays with D-Dubs. You should go ask him about the Fantastic Four story on his stream. Bother him about it. And then my other buddy Manny does Manny Draws. I'm probably missing some other people. But those folks are all good hangs. Good. Oh, my buddy Derek Jones Illustration. He's another good one to follow. All right. Ooh, I got an idea. Okay, the question is, if I do zips, do I do them on Ben or do I do them on the text? I'm sort of leaning towards doing them on the text, if I do it at all. First, I've got to fix this eye. I think we're very close here. Yeah. I can still do it, guys. I can still draw 6x9s. Alright. I think we're going to do on the letters. Just keep it nice and simple. And I think that'll be easier for me to find when it fits. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. I bet we can squeeze one out of here. What say you? Painting a happy little thing. That's right, Mo. Watched a bunch of the uploads. Carson just never caught it live. Well, thanks for watching the uploads, man. That makes makes me feel good. Makes me feel very good. Because sometimes I think, oh man, if people don't watch it live, they're never going to watch it. But I'm hoping that the content is interesting enough that people will watch it regardless. Because, you know, I do flip-throughs and I do demos and things of that nature. But I'm glad you caught us live tonight. Thanks for coming by, Carson. We're good people here. Right, gang? Right, gang? Where's my bone folder? All right. See, look at that. Got one from the top, one from the bottom. Worked out. I love it when a plan comes together. Oh, darn it. All right. Nope. That ain't right. That ain't right either. Come on now. Come on now. There we go. Clobbering time. If you haven't watched the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, do yourself a favor. Go check it out. It should be on YouTube. It'll brighten your day. All right, let's give this some sauce. Excuse me, folks. Sorry about that. We're getting there. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Feels like I just need maybe one or two more little things here. There we go, folks. Ben Grimm, the amazing scene. The ultimate clobberer. All right, folks. Again, if you haven't liked, subscribed, hit the bell, all those things, please do. And if you haven't already pre-ordered it, go to your shop tomorrow and get the Fantastic Four Fanfare number 4. Story by Daniel Warren Johnson, myself, and Inaki Azpiazu. And I really appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, go to tyrellcannon.com, sign up right now. We're going to be sending a newsletter very soon, maybe even tomorrow, that announces things like the original art drop and some other items that I'm going to be adding to my shop very soon. So again, thank you everybody for checking it out, and I hope you all have a great evening, and we will see you on a future Tuesday.